So you don't really have the MLS thing that's separate from the consumer-facing thing.
No. And again, it's interesting because I've noticed, like, you guys are, again, I guess it's Department of Real Estate stuff, but if a home goes under contract, correct me if I'm wrong, you have to report that within a certain amount of time on the MLS. Is that
Yeah,
accurate?
we need to switch the status to pending,
and that's
right away.
That's a required thing.
Absolutely.
We don't have to do that. If you go on yachtworld.com, not half, but you'll be looking at a listing and it won't say pending sale or anything, and you call the broker and they go, oh, it's under contract. Again, this is kind of there's so much of that.
And is that in order to generate more leads for the broker?
Exactly. So I'll see all kinds of boats that I know are sold, and they'll keep them up because it's generating leads.
We are live. What's up? Agent Success Podcast here. Today I've got PJ Sullivan from Mikelson Yachts, a broker of a different form, but plenty of experience and information to share nonetheless. Welcome, PJ.
Thank you, Jake.
Thanks for joining us today.
Yeah, super stoked to be here.
Yeah. So I figured we'd give our viewers, listeners, a little bit of background on yourself and how you got into the business. Like, how long have you been brokering boats?
Well, I was very fortunate because I was born into this.
Hey.
So family business. My dad and his business partner started the company nearly 40 years ago, Mikelson Yachts. And we are basically, they started a company that builds semi-custom luxury sport fishing yachts. So kind of a niche market. And they're most sport fishing yachts out there, you've probably heard of Viking or Hatteras or Bertram. Those were designed for the East Coast mostly, where they have a canyon that's 50, 60, 70 miles out. Big engines. They haul ass out to the canyon, they fish, and they haul ass back in. So you don't need the creature comforts that you would need on a boat here on the West Coast, where you might have to make a trip that's 800 miles south to Cabo San Lucas to get into the good fishing. Now, in recent years, the water's warming up and the fish are coming up further north. So it's changing a little bit. But if you do need to go 800 miles to get into the good fishing, you need a boat that has the range, the fuel efficiency, the livability, the comfort, the creature comforts. And so we designed a sport fish that kind of incorporates all those amenities. So we are a true West Coast sport fisher.
That's really cool.
Yeah, and one of the only ones really out there. So.
And from being on some of your sport fishers, people that are not sports fishermen wouldn't necessarily realize that it's like pretty fine-tuned vessel. It just seems like a very luxurious boat to be on, for the most part. People that don't know.
Yeah, that's the nice thing about a West Coast sport fisher is it's essentially a yacht that you can fish off of. So again, the other brands that I mentioned, they're great boats, but they kind of focus on the fishing. Big engines, they're focused on speed, but they burn a lot of fuel. They're not great for living on board because again their focus is fishing. When you again have to design the boat to go much further, you kind of have to make it more focused on the luxury part of it.
Tell me if this is. I just thought of an analogy,
Yes.
like the classic like '60s hot rod. You sacrifice a lot, but it's super fun and cool. But a modern Tesla might outperform and have all the creature comfort.
So it's so much that form versus function and trying to find that balance. And that's where it's interesting. I for an example, I did a boat show in Palm Beach in 2017. Most of the shows I do are out here on the West Coast. So we took one of our boats back to the show. We actually had a boat back there.
How'd you get it over there?
We sold it to somebody over there and they let us use it for the show. Nice. So we're with these hundreds of other sport fishers that look totally different, and they all kind of look the same, and we look very different. So people would walk by the boat and they'd kind of go, well, "What is this? What's going on?" And if I could get them on the boat, they would walk in and go, "Holy shit, this is amazing! Look at all this space. Look at all the creature comforts. I could live on this boat." But as they're walking by, they don't, in their minds. Now I'm a little biased, of course, but they don't look as sexy as some of the other brands out there because they're not as sleek. So. You're always, but if we make them look like that, then we're not going to be able to incorporate some of the luxury, amenities. So it's always that form versus function. But if you walk down to, say, the Konocai Marina in San Diego, you'll see 40 of them in one marina.
Michelson's, huh?
Michelson's, yeah.
Wow.
So this is our market.
Yeah. So you just talked about something that's pretty unique because we don't really have that hybrid unless you're an agent working for a new construction development, right? Like you don't have the hybrid of both building and selling in one. And I imagine it's not like ubiquitous in your world either, right? Like most yacht brokers are probably focusing on resale, or like what does the general brokerage world look like in your industry?
So carryover, there's not a direct sort of analogy between the real estate market and yachts. So you have kind of dealers out there. So we're very unique in the industry because we basically are factory direct. So if you want to buy a new Mikelson, the only place that you can come do it is our office here in San Diego in Point Loma on Shelter Island. But most dealers, say Sea Ray, for instance, that's a brand that most people have heard of. They have nationwide distribution. So, both coastlines, the Great Lakes, they have distributors pretty much everywhere there's any body of water that will support that type of boat. And that's true with most builders, right? Dealer networks. The problem that the way we see it is you lose that direct relationship with a client when you are a dealer. And again, this is not analogous to the real estate market, but just to give some sort of context on the boat world. When you don't sell the boat directly to the end user, if there's a warranty item, let's say, they go back, and it's like this with anything. You go buy a GM, and you have a warranty issue. You go back to the dealer, and the dealer goes, well, yeah, we're going to help you, but we got to go back to the factory and ask them about it. The buck stops with us, which is nice for our clients. And about 70 to 75% of all of our new boats are to repeat Mikelson customers, which is really cool because they've had, when you have that one-on-one relationship, they really like it, especially if they've owned other boats where they've gone to the dealer they bought it from because they have a problem, and the dealer says, well, we'd love to help you, but we got to go back to the factory. We just sold you the boat. We didn't build it. So it's a cool relationship to have. As far as brokers go, I'm really fortunate because we have the new boat part of our business, and then we have the used boat part of our business. So most people that own Michelsons, when they're ready to sell them for whatever reason, they bring them back to us because we've got the client database of people looking specifically for Michelsons. So it's really nice for them because they know, hey, when I'm ready to sell my Mikelson, I've got these guys I can bring it back to sell it. I have to know a lot about one brand, my own, which is Mikelson, which is really cool. Most yacht brokers out there, it's tough because they're kind of schlepping, for lack of a better term, whatever they can. Mm-hmm. And so they have to know a little bit about a whole bunch of different kinds of boats. And so it's hard because if you're a consumer and you're looking to buy a boat and you use a broker, he's not going to know that brand specifically like I'm going to know my own brand.
Yeah.
But
because you're, flying overseas multiple times per year.
Exactly.
To check on the progress of each individual boat.
Yes.
You're intimately aware.
Yes, exactly.
Of what's going on.
Exactly. And we're so limited to production. We build, right now we're building 5 or 6 boats a year. So I know every boat that I build from the keel up, which is cool. So again, there's not a direct correlation, but when it comes to real estate, like you said, you have the home builders that I guess might sell. You build a couple homes and then you sell them, or you go get your real estate license as the builder, or you probably work.
They have a sales office usually.
Yeah, exactly. Mm-hmm. And homes are different too. It's a luxury item that everyone needs a house to live in. Not everybody needs a yacht to go use and go fishing on. So not
everyone knows they need a yacht.
That's right. That's what this podcast is for.
That's right. So like in your peers in the industry,
yes,
what would you say the percentage is of people that are strictly doing resale versus people that are working in distribution shops, like you mentioned with Sea Ray as an example, mm-hmm, or how many are actually, like your situation where it's manufacturer to sales and service and everything in between?
You're seeing our model a little bit more. The Great Recession, kind of 08, 09, a lot of boat builders went out of business. And not a lot, but when the recession hit, a lot of them went to more of a direct to consumer, with kind of cutting out the middleman.
Interesting.
Yeah. There's still a lot, and it depends on the size of the boat too. So when you get into smaller boats, like Sea Ray has stopped building big boats. They build kind of lake boats now for the most part. Sea Ray will probably always use a distributor, and especially because smaller boats like Mastercraft and, Air Nautique and Ski Nautique, those guys are always going to have a distribution network. But I've heard that, guys like Viking, which are pretty well-known big sport fishers, that they have Galati, which is a big dealer for them kind of nationwide. But I've heard, and I'm not sure if this is totally true, but that you can go to Viking and maybe buy sort of direct, or they might stick you with Galati and say, hey, this is our dealer, but it's essentially factory direct because they're our main distributor now.
Right. So like to narrow it down to this, it seems like a small world, the people running around Shelter Island, but it's a lot of industry that's taking place there.
Yes.
Like out of the brokers that are bouncing around San Diego, that's really primarily Shelter and Harbor Islands, right?
Yeah.
Where we're happening.
Yeah, there's a couple things, Mission Bay and South Bay, but those are the primary spots.
So like are the majority of those brokers just doing resale, like grabbing at what business they can and marketing them the best they can?
Yeah, and I've seen a lot of brokerages. There's some that are pretty well known. And I see a lot that pop up and they'll be in business for a year or two.
Oh, really?
And then they're gone. Yeah. So it's a constant, it's happening
just because
all the
the competition is so high, or?
Yeah, and it's a tough. One thing that's really different than the real estate market is the commission structure. So
let's talk about that.
Yeah, so real estate commission. Well, you tell me what it's 5-6%.
Well, there's been a change in that too, the way we handle things. But historically, it's been roughly 6% split between the buyers and sellers agent.
Okay, so the yacht market industry standard is 10%.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and what I've seen happen, interestingly, is I've seen it a couple times where
and your price points are frequently similar to maybe not the price points here in San Diego, but across the country on par. So you're probably outproducing maybe someone in the middle of America selling homes with your yachts.
Yes, and again, I deal with mainly my own brand, but we're kind of in most of our brokerage listings sort of fall between $500,000 and $1.5 million. That's our range. Now we have some that fall on either side of that, but that's sort of the primary. The majority fall within that. I've seen guys that come in and they try to undercut the industry standard and they say, we'll list everything for 8%. Those are usually the guys that don't last very long, which is interesting. You'd think that everybody would want to list their boats with them.
So what's your analysis?
So I think, you get what you pay for.
For sure.
There's a lot of that, right?
I mean, do you remember a company called I Pay One?
I don't.
They used to have their name on the San Diego Sports Arena.
Okay.
It was a big real estate brokerage that disappeared as quickly as they showed up.
And they tried to undercut the industry.
I Pay One. I'm only paying 1% to list my house. They're gone.
See how well that worked. Well, it's interesting because the other part of it is if you are only paying an 8% or charging an 8% commission, you're not motivating outside brokers to bring business in. And so that's another big, I think, factor.
Absolutely.
And so you see that, I'm sure, in the real estate industry too.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
It happens frequently.
Yeah. So that's important. You got to keep everybody motivated. And again, you get what you pay for. I have clients all the time and they'll try to pre-negotiate the commission. And what I tell them is, hey, listen, don't pre-negotiate the commission because if JC is a yacht broker and he's working for ABC Yacht Brokers, I got to keep him motivated to bring a buyer in to sell your boat.
Yeah.
Now, when we put a deal together, if it's not a full price deal, you have every option to come in and say, well, if I'm going to sell the boat for that much money, then I want you to work with me and beat me up on the commission and help out.
Sure.
And I think it happens more often in the yacht industry because the commission's higher, because it's a luxury item. I don't know how often. I mean, do you get beat up much in the real estate market on commissions?
I feel like we constantly have to defend our fees. Absolutely. Yes. And now with the change that's happened as a result of the National Association of Realtor settlement, it's interesting because we're truly seeing agents kind of show their worth, because not only do listing agents have to sit down and demonstrate value and explain what they're going to do and what the fee associated is, but now buyer's agents have to do the same thing.
Yeah.
In order to show a house, you have to have paperwork, and that means you have to have had that commission conversation.
Right.
And we are seeing offers that will come in anywhere from 1% to 3%. And I haven't seen over 3%, but it really shows you up front, like, wow, why is this agent only asking for so much? It's kind of weird sometimes.
So for you, and I know it's only, how long has that been in effect now, a year?
Just over a year.
So have you seen, has it changed your business much? Have you seen a net positive result, net negative?
I think of it as a positive because, I feel, and I think my experience backs up the fact that I'm doing more for my clients. I'm having better outcomes for my clients, and my experience shows in people don't know when I'm sitting down talking to them about this, but after we get through a transaction, they realize, oh yeah, that could have gone really poorly if I didn't have this guy that's been doing it for 20 years, that knows what he's doing and kind of just navigate it. And not only that, but make me feel like I don't need to freak out about stuff. All of those things are kind of intangibles.
Oh yeah.
But they're very real.
Important. Yeah. That's another interesting comparison between the real estate industry and the yacht industry. I always say that the yacht industry is kind of like the Wild West. Mm-hmm. You guys are very regulated by the DRE, and even the forms and everything. You have to use their forms. In the yacht industry, again, I think because it's not a product that people need to live in. Housing is important, right? You need a house to keep the rain off your head and the sun off your back. I'm constantly drafting up my own forms, for people. And we're regulated by the Department of Boating and Waterways. So if you have a complaint about a broker, for instance, you go to them and you can make your complaint. But we are not regulated like you guys are. So it's not, well, it's a double-edged sword, right? It can get you in trouble, but it also is nice if I need a contract extension, I just type up and I can modify it as I need to.
Right.
And I don't even have a standard form for that.
Interesting.
So it's very different in that regard too.
Man, yeah. We've got an extensive library for every single, we have an extension form and it's editable, but it's the main form.
Yes.
And then we have to go in and say what's needed on there.
So all the boilerplating has to be there.
Every single thing is, lawyer approved.
Yeah. Again, that's where you can get into trouble, right? Because I'm making stuff up and I'm not an attorney, but I have to try to make sure I cover all my bases when I do that. It's an interesting, difference in that regard. Yeah. So
going back to your business, I feel like what I heard for the most part was the majority of the sourcing is repeat and referral. For your business.
Our business, yes.
Yeah. Is that standard across brokers, or is that mostly because of the unique niche that you have with Mikelson?
I think we're in a really magical spot. My dad and his business partner built a really neat company that they took really good care of their clients, again, because they had that direct relationship, right? The buck stopped with them. If the client needed something, there was a warranty issue, anything, it was like, I bought the boat from you. You're the guy who is essentially the factory.
Highly accountable, not running away from responsibility.
Exactly. And not building so many boats that we're losing track and there's just too much. Now, it's good and bad, right? Over the years, the founders, again, my dad and his partner, they've been very, very conservative. But they've kept it small. And so they've potentially missed, but purposely, the opportunity to expand and make more money. But when the times get tough and you got to be lean, it's benefited them big time. Yeah. And that's why we're still around.
Yeah, you made it through the dark time.
Yes.
That we all experienced.
Yes. And it was a dark time.
Yeah.
And for me personally, I ended up on the East Coast for a couple of years because of it. Yeah. So it was tough, but had they not had that conservative principle, or those conservative principles going into the business, I don't know that, there's a lot of yacht companies that didn't make it.
Right.
So
what are other sources of business besides repeat and referral? And what would a new yacht broker do getting into the business?
Trade shows are huge.
Trade shows?
Yeah.
Okay.
Boat shows.
Say more about that.
Yeah. So, boat shows are a big deal. That is probably over the years, that's probably where the vast majority of my new leads have come from. And so
you got boats on display, kind of like an open house.
Yep. We usually do a couple. COVID changed things. We do 2 a year now. We do Newport Beach and San Diego. We used to do LA, 2 Newport Beach, spring and fall, and then and there used to be 2 San Diego shows too. But again, if I look back, at my notes for sort of new prospects, boat shows are the biggest one. Even more interestingly than it's starting to change a little bit, but obviously the online space is huge.
Yeah.
So we're starting to get more leads from online. People, every now and then someone will call in now. Very few walk-ins these days. So yeah, I think a lot of these brokers probably online. I mean, we have a you guys have like Zillow and the what do you call it, the Yes, exactly. So we have Yacht World, and there's another one now called Yacht Co. Okay. We do advertise our new boats there, but usually don't get much from it. But that's kind of where people go to search for, used boats.
And what about, is there a boating equivalent to our MLS?
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of it, is Yacht World.
Just the online. So for us, Zillow, Redfin, Trulia, Realtor.com, are very consumer facing, and it's not the tool we use on our own, right? Like we use a different tool that has more information. We know the formatting, how to look at it, and how to get more detail if need be. Whereas all those other sites move data points around, and there's certain stuff that's just, it's meant for brokers only. So it's not published, right? So it's really a lead generator for those companies that then turn them over to us and charge us for them. Right. But so you don't really have the MLS thing that's separate from the consumer facing thing.
No. And again, it's interesting because I've noticed, like, you guys are, again, I guess it's Department of Real Estate stuff, but if a home goes under contract, correct me if I'm wrong, you have to report that within a certain amount of time on the MLS. Is that accurate?
We need to switch the status to pending,
and that's
right away.
That's a required thing.
Absolutely.
We don't have to do that. If you go on yachtworld.com, not half, but you'll be looking at a listing and it won't say pending sale or anything, and you call the broker and they go, oh, it's under contract. Again, this is kind of there's so much of that.
And is that in order to generate more leads for the broker?
Exactly. So I'll see all kinds of boats that I know are sold, and they'll keep them up because it's generating leads. And
like, how long will they do that for?
I've seen guys just keep them on there indefinitely. But those are the kind of guys that probably aren't going to make it because it's a little bit shady, and why they're doing it. And so I think it's just not good for the industry to do that type of stuff.
Yeah.
But the industry has a way of weeding out the.
I mean, it's disingenuous, right? Yes. Which is kind of the opposite of what you were saying. Like the ethos of Mikelson is to be accountable and to be honest and to stand by products, and
Absolutely.
Then to do the opposite for the first call you're going to get is deceptive because you've got something out there.
Well, I think the people that are in it for the long haul, if you have a mentality or your thought process is, how would I want to be treated, as the client? If you go into every transaction like that, yeah, you're going to lose sometimes because you're going to disclose things, you're going to be honest and upfront, but in the long run, you're going to kill it.
Yeah.
And that's and I mean, it's no different in the real estate market. You know?
So as far as, because sourcing business is a huge thing, any agent who's been selling property for a year or two is probably, and as long as it wasn't like 1 or 2 a year, right? They're up and running and they're moving property. Actually running transactions is not overly challenging, but the constant thing that you wake up to every single day is sourcing the business, right? Yes. So we got repeat and referral, we got boat shows for you, and it sounds like a little bit of social media / YouTube is starting to become a little more prevalent.
Yeah, it's interesting. The YouTube thing, one of the neatest things that we've had from YouTube is we make videos, and literally my wife is filming me and editing and posting. So it's all just, completely just basically at this point kind of her and I. Mm-hmm. My brother Sam started it, and he did an amazing job. He was awesome. And he was very charismatic. He's 14 years younger than I am, but he ended up moving to Florida. So I kind of had to take over. And I'm nobody. I don't think anybody necessarily wants to watch me on YouTube, but they do appreciate when I go through the boat and I explain things, I show the boat and stuff. And it's so cool because JC, I've had so many people now come up to me at boat shows and they go, PJ, I've never met you, but I've watched your videos and I feel like I know you and I feel like I trust you.
Bro, that's everything you want.
Dude, it's amazing. And it's so cool because it's like that's invaluable. And I feel like I'm a trustworthy person, so it's cool because I feel like, okay, I'm getting across my true, thing. And again, I was brought up in this industry by my dad and his business partner, who are two of the most honest people that I've ever met. And it's so neat because that is like you said, the ethos. And if you're going into it with that, it shows. But it's cool that it comes across on the social media space.
That's what I was just thinking, because obviously, you know what you're talking about. You're explaining the boats. Your years of experience is coming through without question.
Yeah.
But to have third-party confirmation that your integrity and your workmanship is also coming through over the computer,
it's cool.
Yeah, that's a big deal.
It is, and it motivates me to keep it up, right? Because we got to go down. You know how long this stuff takes. Just what we're doing right now.
Yeah.
The time that it takes to sit here and then to edit it and then to post it, and but it's worth it, and it's cool that it motivates you when you have somebody come up to you at a boat show or at an open house, for instance. And, hey JC, I listened to your podcast. That was really cool. It motivates you to keep going and to keep it.
And I think the two things that you just mentioned, like displaying expertise and showing your integrity and work, like the work style that you have.
Yes.
That's everything you could hope for social media. Like that's what you want, is someone to feel like they know you before, because that's one of the biggest hurdles in any salesperson, I think, is to get past the barrier of this guy's just trying to sell me something to, okay, he's doing his job and he knows what he's doing and he can help me.
Right.
Like those are two very different attitudes.
Oh, very much
right?
so. And we've talked about
that a consumer would come to you with.
Yeah, absolutely. And we've talked about we've talked about a lot of the differences between the real estate market and the yacht market. But, as far as similarities, it's a long time horizon for a sale in my industry. And
we'll go into, before you move on, talk about that a little bit.
I mean, my sales cycle, I'm starting now to sell boats to people that I've known for 15 years plus. Yeah. Yep. And
wait a minute. Have they bought and sold other boats in the meantime or something, or what?
No, I mean, well, every scenario, everybody's different, but I have literally I started really in the sales part of this probably 20 years ago. And there's been, I mean, it's not a ton, but I can, probably a couple guys each year that I sell boats to that I met back in 2006, 2007, 8, 9, that just now are buying boats. And I've just kept in touch with them, invited them to boat shows. When we have open houses or demo days, gone, hey, come on down, I'll take you for a boat ride.
Dude.
And just, it's a long sales cycle.
You know what we say in the real estate business?
What's that?
The fortune is in the follow-up.
And it is so true. The fortune is in the follow-up.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah, and that's exactly what you just explained. I can't believe how long that cycle is.
Yeah. And
because we feel like we have a long sales cycle. And it can be. I mean, you can meet someone at an open house and it'll take a year or two.
But you know how important that
for sure
relationship building is. Mm-hmm. What we do is relational. I mean, that is so critical. If you don't, I mean, you've bought stuff that's high end or, expensive cars, whatever. Mm-hmm. Cars are a little different. Mm-hmm. But you need to feel like you trust the person when you're spending that amount of money.
Yeah.
And that's critical. And a lot of these people, I'll meet them and they go, well, I got 3 kids. I got to put them through college. And when they're done with college, then I'm going to buy the boat. and you're going, okay, well, 3 kids, 4 years each for college, and you're kind of doing the math, and you go, all right, so we'll talk in about 10 years. Not we'll talk in 10 years, but we'll be buying the boat.
Yeah, we'll transact.
But in the meantime, they're coming to the boat shows. You're making calls, just going, hey, how's Emily doing at college? Hope everything's good. Just wanted to touch base, send them a hat in the mail every now and then.
Yeah.
That kind of stuff, and people appreciate that. Yeah. They really do. But it's a long sales cycle, and it's cool because, again, most of our business is clients coming back to us. We build an amazing product, and again, not to get off the subject of the similarities, but the product is one thing, the house, the boat, that's one thing. But the person that you're working with to buy that product is so critical.
Absolutely.
That relationship is critical.
Yes. Do you have like specific habits, routines, things that you rely on and do to keep you on track, to keep you moving, to help you stay on goals?
So I do, and half the time, you're probably the same. I feel like I'm a hot mess. I have every intention of making this many sales calls every day and keeping in touch with people.
There's no realtor out there who's ever even thought about what you're saying right now.
Right.
Yeah, every single one of us.
Right, and then the phone well, listen, we are all inundated every day by way too many forms of communication. Email, text, phone calls, the landline phone call.
DMs, social media.
Exactly, and I can't even respond to that stuff. My wife will send me stuff because she's monitoring it, and go, hey, somebody asked what the fuel economy is on the Nomad, on the our 59-foot, pilot house boat, and I'll answer, but it's hard. It's impossible.
Yeah.
You cannot keep on top of everything. I'm digressing. What was your question again?
Like routines, habits, things that keep you moving towards the goal.
I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm kind of old school in that. When I was brought into the business, my dad's partner, his dad, who's since passed away, unfortunately, he gave me a notebook this thick, and he goes, "This is everybody I've ever met over my entire career of trying to sell yachts," and he put it on my desk, and he goes, "I want you to call every single one of them."
Wow.
And most of them I haven't talked to in 10 years plus. And I was like, wow.
It seems like a huge chore, but what a gift.
Exactly. That's what a gift. And I was like, there's no effing way that I'm doing this. But I did it, and I got through that whole binder.
How long?
Months. It took me months.
Uh-huh.
Yep. And I was so thankful after, and I still have the binder, by the way. I was so thankful because I was 20. I had just graduated college. I think I was 23 or 24 when I started in the sales part. And I don't look old like I do today, or I didn't look old, excuse me. And people, it's hard to sell $1 million yacht to a guy when you look like you're 24, even if you know your shit. It's really hard. And so I feel fortunate today because Father Time is catching up and making me look like I'm more, whatever you want to call it, more mature or whatever. I look my age now. Seasoned. There you go. So, but that's just the looking older part, and it gives you street cred, right? When you're some young person and you're trying to, again, ask a guy to drop $1 million on a yacht, it's tough.
Yeah.
But that calling all those people and talking to them and getting, the fortunate thing for me is I'm not selling life insurance. Even if nobody has if the guy I'm calling has no intentions of ever buying a boat, he's still more than happy to talk about boats.
Yeah.
Which is cool, right? Because I'm not getting hung up on. But it also wastes a lot of time because the guy will sit there and talk to you for an hour about boats and he's never going to buy one. So it's a catch-22. But I am, back to my point, I'm old school. I truly believe that it is so important to pick up the phone and talk to somebody. And we're getting away from that in our modern society, with the social media and the and all that. So
is that a habit that you maintain, or is it something you're like, no, I need to get back to that?
No, I try to balance both. I'm not a real technologically advanced guy, which is why literally my wife does all my social media stuff, and she helps me with it, and she's really good at it, thank God. So, for instance, if I post something on Instagram, I'm not posting it. I'll take the video, I'll send it to her, and she'll make it look all amazing and great, and it's cool.
Yeah,
it works well. But it helps me too because I don't have to take the time to post it. And I've seen your stuff. You're awesome, and I think you're pretty good at it.
Yeah.
Although I know you have help too.
I have help. Yeah.
Yeah. So that helps because just the social media stuff takes time.
So it frees you up to do the more important things.
Yeah. And sometimes, a lot of times, that is a phone call.
Absolutely.
You know? So
it's maybe one of the most important things you can do, right?
Yes. And that's the hard thing that I'm trying to instill in like the younger generation of salesmen that I talk to, whether it's real estate, yachts, whatever, is, hey, this is a relationship building exercise. You're never going to sell anything if you're just trying to get the quick sale. It's never going to happen.
Another real estate cliche, this is a contact sport. You got to make contacts with people.
Absolutely.
You can't sit in your office and do stuff on the computer.
Nope.
Unless you're busy in chats with someone, which is still contact.
Well, and absolutely.
But you got to be talking to people.
You got to be talking to people, and you've got to figure out where your time is best spent, which is not easy. That takes some years to learn, right? Because you'll chase one guy, and at the end of the day, he's never going to do anything, and you kind of realize that in retrospect, and you've missed out on going after all these people that might have been, good prospects.
That's something I think that is universal in sales. Like, we are constantly trying to figure out who should we be talking to, because especially, I feel like that's a big crossover with yachts and houses is we have to stay in touch with people. We have to maintain that relationship. But people are not going to frequently be in the market for a house or frequently be in the market for a yacht. Like, you just, and you can't push it on anyone. It's got to be something they want to do, right? No 100%. One's going to force you to buy a house, PJ.
Right.
Unless you're in the market to buy a house, because it's right for you and your family. And this is the time when it needs to happen.
That's right.
Like, there's no pushing that to happen. But if we're really good, we can somehow figure out how to get ahead of it when it is happening.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. And
that's like this mystery. I
know, and it's not a perfect science. To some degree, we're all just kind of guessing every day, going, well, and there's another term which isn't the greatest, but it's interesting how these little cliches and these things that we say, they're very true, and it's buyers are liars.
That's a big one in real estate.
Yeah, it's like people promise you the moon. Oh, I'm going to buy it. I'm going to use you. I'm going to, I'm ready next week. And 5 years later, they haven't bought anything. But you know what? That's okay.
Yeah.
You stick with them. And if you truly feel like they are a good prospect, you don't give up. There's you got to be
That's like
persistent.
One of the most long-standing one-liners in real estate, like the whole buyers are liars thing.
Yeah.
And obviously, I get into the business earlier on. I'm like, that's some bullshit. That is true, man. But now, like so many years later, a little more like introspection or maybe analysis of clients, and you're like, sometimes they're liars. Like sometimes they just want to get you off the phone and say, yeah, I'm going to buy in 6 months to a year, and then they turn around and buy a house next month, and they're like, what the hell, But a lot of times, they didn't know themselves that they were lying to you. They told you what they thought was true, and then something changes in their lives, or maybe they fall in love with a home, or they see the boat that is perfect for them, and it happens to be resale, so it's cheaper, 100%. And like circumstances change. And now as the broker, fucking liar, what? But it's like, they didn't mean to lie to us. Now, not all the time, but I've begun to like kind of been a little more gracious to that old, idiom, and like, okay, for the most part, it kind of holds up, but also it's more nuanced than that.
It is, and I'm sure you would agree with this. I've always tried not to judge a book by its cover. If someone walks, on a boat at the boat show, and they look like a total slob, and they don't have a Rolex on and a diamond ring, I always try to, if they want to talk about boats or they tell me they're interested in buying one, I give them the time. I think that's important. But
especially because we know, living in Point Loma, there's plenty of old money that looks like no money.
Yep.
And they got lots of money.
Yeah, we're not in La Jolla.
Yeah.
No.
We're not trying to keep up with the Joneses
Yes.
and show it on our chest how wealthy. It's not new money.
Right.
It's old money.
That's right.
And so they could be in slaps and ripped up jeans.
Yeah.
I mean,
but in saying that, as you and I get older and we're doing this for longer, we also have the wisdom and we develop the ability to actually discern many times between a real buyer and a bullshit, artist or guy that just.
And I think that kind of comes with age.
It does.
And time in the business.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. You can't. I mean, so much of what we do just comes with age and time in the business.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a wild world out there, and it's the thing. It was interesting because I told you that I moved back to New Jersey during the recession, and I was doing something totally different. I was in construction management on the East Coast, which was super interesting. Don't have any regrets about it. But the thing that's tough, the thing that's cool about what we do is the potential is almost unlimited, right? But it's feast or famine too.
Absolutely.
And so, some people can't function that way. They got to know how much they're going to make. Most people.
The salesperson's life is not for the many. It's for
a roller
the few.
coaster ride.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So, you gotta be able to weather the storms, and you have to have the mental fortitude, to tell your wife, hey, you can't buy the shoes this month because, I haven't sold a house or I haven't sold a boat.
Absolutely.
So you got to tighten the purse strings.
I know.
Yeah.
So
it can be tough.
We call ourselves Agent Success on the podcast. Like, how would you define success? Maybe break it up on a professional level and then maybe even a personal level.
I can't separate the two.
Okay.
Because success is so intertwined and weaving that professional and personal life. I mean, I know you pretty well, and I know you have to thread that needle every day.
For sure.
And I do too. And it's so as I get older, I think about when I'm on my deathbed, right? Which is a lot of people talk about it.
Yeah.
When I'm on my deathbed, am I going to be happy that I worked an extra day and I sold an extra boat, or should I have bought a plane ticket, to go to Nicaragua with my son who had a cold, and my wife said you need to go with him down there for 3 days to make sure he gets there okay, and I don't care if you have boats to show, right? Like that sounds like it might have just happened to me.
Yeah.
And
I think I just saw an Instagram reel of him getting on the airplane.
Exactly. So,
by the way, if you would have done that, not only would you be doing right by your wife, but you would have been able to bag like amazing surf in warm water.
Thanks for reminding me.
But
here's the counter argument, and my wife and I had this conversation, last night. I have commitments that I've made, and it's that again. It's a balance, because if we went and fucked off every opportunity we had that was good for our family, we would fail, and we would not be able to support our family and keep a roof over their head and buy groceries.
And they would not have the lifestyle that they become accustomed
That's right.
to.
That's exactly right. Yeah. So it is a fine balance, and you have to know when you can buy the Nicaragua ticket and when you have to stay and show houses or show boats.
Right.
And so again, on my deathbed, I want my success to not be monetary. Truly. I want my success to be, you were a great dad and a good husband, and I know that's what's going to be important then, but I can't not be successful or try to be successful in the monetary realm right now.
Yeah.
Because they're so intertwined. If I don't make money, I can't go on cool vacations with my family. And
exactly.
It's a hard balance.
And living where we do, it's not, the overwhelming majority of the country does not have to do what we have to do just to have a normal life.
That's right.
Like the cost of living is so extreme.
Yep.
In coastal areas of San Diego, California. It's
property tax.
It's nuts.
Grocery, everything.
Start with a cost of the home to get into in the first place.
Well, there you go.
Don't even go into private school and camps and all the sports. And
I know.
It's insane.
It is.
So we have to go kill.
We do. We have to push and thrive, and we have to have drive, and we have to be motivated. And, again, if we lived in a part of the country, now it's such a catch-22, because if we lived in a part of the country where the houses were half the cost, we'd be making half the money, but it only costs half as much to live, right? So it's all relative to some degree, but there's no doubt, that it's hard to make it here in Southern California, and when you have some kids and you got to pay for the family stuff too, man, you got to work your ass off.
And we both have kids in similar age ranges. So like when you get into the middle, junior high, high school range, like costs ramp hard.
It's gnarly.
Costs ramp up real hard.
Yep.
And I always say, like, we're in the thick of it right now.
Yeah.
And it's not going to let up until these kids are done with college.
Well, absolutely. And I don't want to get political here, but if you are not sort of in alignment with what the public schools are teaching your kids, then you got to look at private school. And then there's a whole nother reason why you have to push even harder to sell more boats and more houses. And
it's so expensive.
It's crazy. So, yeah, man, it's tough. And again, that work-life balance, it's so intertwined. And especially like, I know that your wife does some stuff for you on the business side. My wife certainly helps me with the business side. So not only is it hard to separate the work-life balance as it is, but we're working with our spouse to some degree too, and so it's even more intertwined. So it's an interesting dynamic, and it has its challenges. But I know you and I are extremely blessed, which is awesome. And I just try to remind myself of that.
Well, I think that attitude of gratitude is what carries you through. Like,
so important.
Yeah. I mean, you have to come from that perspective. You just have to.
100%. Yeah.
Because it as hard as we work, and as long as the days are, and as little time as we often get to spend with our kids and our spouse, like, we have it so good.
We have it so good. And what's the alternative? You're a victim.
Yeah.
I don't know anyone who's a victim who's happy. Truly.
That's a great line.
There are no happy victims.
Yeah.
And so, you have to, it's all up here. It's all mental. It's all in your attitude of gratitude. But if I tell my kids this all the time, and we all have our down days, right? Where we go, the house deal fell through,
mm-hmm.
and you feel that, and it's hard. You have to compartmentalize, and you have to be thick-skinned and get over stuff. But you kind of look around and go, man, I got a beautiful family. I live in Southern California, and I'm kind of affording it.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
I am so blessed.
Mm-hmm.
And so you're always going to have your like I said, your down days. But that attitude of gratitude is critical.
Yeah,
it really is.
Yeah, I feel like without keeping that as your focus, it could be a quick and easy downward spiral.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep. No, 100%. So that's an important, maybe one of the most important parts of this whole conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Here's an interesting thought, or maybe question that I should probably ask more people. Is there one thing that sticks out in your memory as just this significant hardship, hurdle, obstacle that you feel actually shaped your career and helped you get to where you are now?
Yeah. Moving to New Jersey for 2 years.
Yeah.
And that, when I think back to the time, it was the most stressful, scariest. I had 4 kids that I was trying to keep alive.
That were a lot younger now than they are now.
That were a lot younger. There was a lot of diapers to buy. It was, and I give so much credit to my wife, because that's what the kind of stuff divorces are made of for a lot of people, right?
No kidding. Moving across the country, 4 young kids, financial stress, the greatest recession our country's ever seen since the Great Depression,
and then moving back across the country, after a year and a half or 2 years, whatever it was. When I came back, I had it resets your brain in a lot of ways, because you have a new appreciation for things that you took for granted prior. I also learned an immense amount of stuff moving back there and being in an industry that had nothing to do with the current industry. It widened my perspective, and it gave me perspective, and it made the attitude of gratitude only increased. And I don't regret any of it. In fact, it it was a really interesting way. The way it happened, what actually brought us back, and just the quick version is we were under contract on a house back there, and I mean, you know this, the lady that we were buying the house from, all the contingencies were removed, and she called our broker and said, or their broker called our broker and said, shouldn't want to sell the house anymore. Her husband had it was their vacation home. I don't know if he had passed away there, but she couldn't let it go, and we were devastated. And
hold on,
yeah,
agents. How often does that ever happen? You're in contract and the seller says, never mind. Like, I've never experienced that. I've sold literally hundreds of homes. I've never experienced a seller saying that before.
Yeah. I haven't bought very many homes and sold very many, but it was certainly a first for me,
yeah.
you know? And I said to our broker, I go, what do you mean? She has to sell it. And he goes, well, you can sue her, but we can't make her sign on the dotted line, even though she's, contractually obligated to do that. And, we were devastated. Oh, what are we going to do? And within a day or two, we got a call from my dad and his partner, and they said, hey, we want you to come back. And I hadn't really talked much to him. I mean, this was out of left field, and it was a sign from God.
I was going to say, like a divine intervention.
Divine intervention,
like,
yes.
It gets so off the wall for a seller to say, I changed my mind. After they're contractually
really happen,
bound.
Right? I know. I know.
And then 2 days later, you get a call?
Yeah. So our devastation turned into, oh my gosh, there's an opportunity. And so, we flew out, moved back, across the country, decided to come back, and just all these little decisions, all these little provincial, is that the right word?
Providential.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Providential. These little things, and you look back and you go, okay, wow. That was, like you said, that was God, that was divine intervention, fate, whatever you want to call it. But I'm thankful for every day about each one of those little decisions and things that came up along the way. But that was definitely because when you go through something like that, and again, I didn't go through anything. It was, traumatic, but it was a scary time.
Yeah.
And it really...
And stressful as hell,
and stressful,
I'm sure. Yeah.
It makes you appreciate certain things, and it makes you look at the world in a different way. And I think it just, again, further increases that attitude of gratitude that's really important.
Yeah. And that's one of the things for me. Like, I know you're born and raised Southern California, San Clemente and San Diego.
Yeah.
And same with me, Hermosa Beach in San Diego.
Yeah.
And, I am so in love with the Southern California lifestyle that, like, I don't even know if I could have done what you did and gone to New Jersey. Like, I'm just, I would feel like I'll rather go live in a shack somewhere, than leave this precious place. Like, I hate how much they tax us and how terrible everything is, and it's so expensive, but, like, we live here anyways because it's so great, and that's not a prideful thing. It's because I'm so grateful that I get to live in this place that the rest of the country calls America's finest city. Like, I think there's a reason for that name. It is so fantastic that, like, I will work my face off to be here because it is so good. And that's gratitude. That's not anything else, really. That's just, like, appreciation for the lifestyle and knowing how valuable it is.
We live where most of the rest of the country vacations.
Right.
And that's pretty special.
Yeah.
And it scares me because I want to be close to my kids and my grandkids, and
not yet. No grandkids yet.
No grandkids yet. Yeah, that's not for a while. But it's like, okay, I got to set them up for success so they can afford to live here too. And then that's a whole nother kind of. But
you got to buy a few more homes, BJ.
Right? I know. Well, do something. So you and I need to sit down and figure out how we're going to set our kids up so they can be close to us.
Absolutely.
But we're so fortunate. I mean, this is such an amazing place to live, and like I said, where most of the country comes to go on vacation.
And circling back around again, it's that attitude of gratitude that enables and appreciation for the coastal lifestyle here in San Diego that makes it worth waking up and busting your face every day and getting up early and working long days and getting told to fuck off and all that stuff. It's like, we got a bigger eye on the prize, We got this amazing standard of life that we're holding on to.
Yeah. I don't know if the camera shows the picture behind you, but I'm looking out at the beautiful Pacific, and it's like just that picture right there. It's like that is a reminder of why we
absolutely
live here and why we bust our ass every day to afford to stay here.
So I've loved this conversation so far, by the way.
Yeah.
If you were talking to someone who's wanting to break into the yacht brokering world, or in our case, the real estate world, like, what sort of advice would you give a rookie in the industry, that, like, they know it's going to be hard, they know they're going to have to bust, but, like, more specifically, like, work hard and work long is obvious advice that everyone, and if you don't have that in mind, don't get into real estate, don't go brokering boats, like you got to know that first, but beyond that.
Oh man, that's a good question. I think there's the obvious stuff, the personal relationships, how important they are, and again, you can be a salesman, you can be a used car salesman, and if you don't have a lot of patience, you're gonna try. There's products that you can go sell that you're gonna sell that day. The reward or the payout's probably not going to be as great, but this is a very gratifying. Whether it's real estate or yachts, I think one of the reasons it's so gratifying is because it's a long sales cycle, because the reward is more, and it's nice getting a commission on a couple $1 million
hell yeah
boat, and again, that feast or famine, you're like, oh man, this is amazing. I have all this, and then it's like, a year later, you're like, oh, I haven't sold a boat.
Are you kidding? A month later, what have you done for me lately?
Exactly.
You got anything new?
Exactly.
Like, that was great. You just cashed a check. Now what?
Yes, exactly.
It's
and you don't want to
immediate.
spend that money. You want to keep adding to the pot, right?
Exactly.
So, advice, JC. That's a good question. Patience, is huge. But I would say, you have to have. You have to have a certain personality. The relational nature of our business is really important. So if you're a people person, you have to like people, you have to be able to put up with a fair amount of bullshit. But if you can do that and not get, frustrated to the point where you just say, fuck it, you'll do well. But you got to hang in there. I don't know. I'm not good at this, but I would say, I think if I was going to advise somebody right now, if I took somebody under my wing, I would say old school tactics.
Absolutely.
Hit the phones. The social media stuff's important. You need to do that too. But I would say there is no substitute for getting face to face with people, getting people on the phone. They need to know your voice. They need to hear it often.
Yeah.
And just that old school. We're losing that, right? But it's so, in my opinion and in my experience, it is so important. I've had many people over the years tell me, PJ, you're the only boat guy that I've met at a show that continues to call me. Normally, if I don't respond or buy a boat in a month, I never hear from the salesman again.
Right.
And I will continue to call people until they tell me to stop calling them.
Dude.
And like, I can't imagine not doing that. And eventually, a lot of times it pays off.
That's literally what real estate coaches tell people.
Is it? Yeah.
Yes.
Well, there you go.
Yes, I'm not joking.
And I think, Bob Peterson, who I told you about, the older gentleman, my dad's partner's dad, when he gave me that binder and said,
what a great story that is, by the way.
And it was, I'm like, hell no. And I'm so thankful I did it. But that's, every newbie should have a binder of 1,000 names stuck in front of them of people who have told the previous guy that called them to go pound sand, and they should call every one of those people.
So, quick contrast, because you had the fortune of having dad and business partner start the thing, and so there was some favor. He's phasing out of the industry. Yep. He's giving you the book of business. I was a mortgage broker first before a real estate broker.
Okay.
And I had a friend take me under his wing and train me up, but the whole rest of the office were strangers.
Train you in the mortgage.
Uh-huh. Okay. And instead of a literal book of business, I got a farm pack from the title guy. It was essentially a yellow pages. Like, here, call strangers and see if any of them need to refi. That was what I got. And I'm like, okay.
Brutal.
So brutal.
But are you not thankful?
Yeah. And now, me getting through my follow-up calls every morning is a light lift compared to that.
Totally.
You know?
You got to go. I mean, perspective is really important. When you go out there and you're making cold calls and getting beat up, and especially if you're selling life insurance where you're getting hung up on, that thickens your skin and it makes you a better salesperson. And it gives you that perspective of like, okay, once you get through it and you actually start to have some business rolling, you think back to those times and you go, man, I'm so appreciative I did that, because now this is so much easier and I actually kind of know what I'm doing. You know?
Absolutely.
It's always kind of, because I don't think anyone really ever.
But to your point, the more crap conversations where you're like, I can't believe that guy didn't hang up on me immediately.
Yes.
Like, that went terribly. Like, over time, you look back and you're so good on the phone.
That is
because you've had so many terrible conversations.
That is building a scar tissue that is the most valuable thing that you could possibly have in sales.
And so on that subject, like, one of the things we do in our company and most bigger teams, and certainly if you hire a real estate coach, they'll tell you this too, is get a lot of those out of the way with role play on your peers. So we do that every day at the Whistle Shop. Like, we have a 30-minute call where people are broken up into Zoom call groups of like 3 to 4, and you're like, all right, here's the scenario. Let's go. I like it. I know you're brand new. Act like this guy is your new client. And so that way you can get the terrible out on your peers instead of on a real prospect.
It's practice without the consequences.
Yeah.
And that's huge.
I like that. The role play is a big piece of what we do, and it's expediting what you just talked about, getting through the difficulty to where you're actually kind of sound like you know what you're talking about a little bit, and you can have a more like professional conversation that doesn't sound like all uptight and weird, but you still are saying the right things, you know?
Yeah. No, I love it. And, you know, I've never taken any kind of sales coaching. I've never gone to Tony Robbins or any kind of motivational type, you know, classes or experiences. And I often think to myself, you know, I don't think there would be any downside to any of that, you know, but success comes from within, right? I mean, and experience builds us up. Getting beat up thickens our skin. Again, creates that kind of scar tissue where you can take a beating, and it's like, you know, you get to the point where it's just not a big deal. You don't even, you know, you just move on to the next one.
Yeah.
We all have feelings, and many times they just get destroyed when you're, you know, trying to sell somebody something. But you get over it pretty quick, and learning how to take the abuse is important.
Yes, and how to like let it roll off your back and not like just jam you up and stay in the back of your mind for days and weeks. Like, no, that has to go away just as quick as it came in.
Yeah. And it's only time really that can do that.
Yeah.
Some people are naturally better at it than others, but it takes time. And, you know, again, it'd be interesting. You and I should go to, you know, some kind of, you know, motivational,
dude,
you know,
I've done
seminar.
Tony Robbins, Unleash the Power Within.
So
you got to do it.
Okay.
You've got to do it.
Was it a 3-day or
it was a 3-day event.
Okay.
Went to LA. I was fortunate. I mean, a lot of times you have to fly across the country to go see him live.
Yeah.
The guy's getting older. He's not going to do this forever. Like, he is one of a kind and absolutely worth the $1,000 or whatever it costs to go do this. Or, I mean, the cheapest seats are like $1,500 in the nosebleeds, and then, you know, Kim Kardashian's in the front row for like 20 G's or something. You know? But like that was real.
So did you walk across hot coals or anything?
Oh yeah,
you did.
It's on video, baby.
So after it was all said and done, like, did you get a tangible benefit from doing it? You know, and I guess the benefit doesn't necessarily have to be tangible or monetary. It can be mental. You know. Yeah. But
so I think one of his biggest strengths is helping people that have had, like, I've been really blessed. Like, I had a charmed upbringing, and I don't have like, I mean, I've had difficulties and I've had shitty things happen to me, but I don't have these deep scars that I feel like have been seriously holding me back from achieving what I have the potential in already.
Is that kind of one of the things
I think that's his biggest thing, is he's able to help remove that for most people. So like, I got into it. I thought it was fantastic. But I don't want to pump myself up as some perfect person, but like I feel like I didn't have like the gnarly demons that were literally capping my success.
Yeah. You're fortunate in that.
Absolutely, I'm grateful for it every day.
Yeah.
But I think that's the biggest thing is that it really, like, if you just pay attention to what he says, he's not a guru. He just says a lot of things that make sense.
Yeah.
And it kind of, if you key in, it helps like just push that stuff aside and frees you up to move forward. And it's really good. Yeah.
Everybody I've ever talked to that's done a Tony Robbins seminar is stoked.
Yeah.
They have nothing. I've never heard, anything negative at all.
And it's expensive. And most people don't bitch about it.
Yeah.
Because it's
money well
the value is there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, even again, I think that probably, even if there's no tangible benefit to, you didn't go out the next week and make more money.
Right.
The mental fortitude, there's obviously benefits that aren't tangible, it seems like, that come from that kind of stuff.
Absolutely.
And maybe those are more important.
No, and I mean, there's literally people that experience breakthrough like live in front of you. Like he'll go out into the audience, and just take a half hour in front of everyone to work through some shit.
Yeah,
and that person's just like, oh, I never thought about it like that.
Pretty cool.
It just happens that quickly.
Yeah,
I mean, it's impressive and amazing.
Yeah. Well, and I'm sure there's. I don't know why people are going to Tony Robbins as far as if they go, well, I'm going to go because I want to make more money. But I think most people do have demons and scars, and they want to just live a better life.
Yeah,
is probably the main.
I mean, free of the pain that is just like hanging on. It's like, okay, you can let it go, and here's a way of thinking about it so that you can let it go.
Yeah,
it's
pretty cool.
It's pretty good. Yeah. Definitely recommend. And like I said, I mean, the guy's early 60s already? Like, I don't know how long this is going to go on. So get on a live event if you can. Yeah. I'm not getting paid to say this.
Yeah, no, that's good advice. It's cool because, like I said, I've talked to a few people and everybody's pretty positive about it. So very cool.
I think we're pretty close to wrapping this up. Do you have any general life philosophies, books, advice, huge one-liners that have stuck with you that are just kind of buried deep and keep you like moving towards what you're trying to accomplish?
One of my favorite terms, and I've said this since I was young, and I think it is so applicable, is whatever doesn't kill you makes you stronger. That is so important because we all get beat up. Sometimes it's literally on our bodies physically, and even that scar tissue, that builds up. Even if it seemingly weakens you, there are strengths that come from it, and you need to keep that in mind. So again, there's the attitude of gratitude, and there's the victim mentality, and if you go through life as a victim, which we all know them, you're going to be a miserable son of a gun, to put it nicely. If you have an outlook on, and listen, there are horrible things that happen to people in life, and I cannot imagine some of the things happening, how I would get out of bed in the morning, right? We can all think of those scenarios.
Absolutely. And most of us don't have to look more than your immediate family.
That's right.
To have some terrible.
That's exactly right. So, but if you, I think faith is huge, right? Knowing that when we die, because none of us are making it out of this alive, right? We're all. Father Time catches up with all of us, so he's got 100% track record. But if you know where you're going when it's all over, because you're going somewhere, that is huge. And it also, I think, helps if you, God forbid, lost somebody that you loved prematurely. Knowing that they're in a better place is huge. And I think it's important to constantly remind yourself of that. But the attitude is everything. It really is. Because in life, there's there's always a fork in the road, and you can either go the way of attitude of gratitude, and having that mental fortitude and going, listen, God has a plan and I'm just along for the ride. Or, oh, why me? Why did this happen to me? Once you start asking that question, that's probably the most dangerous question you can ask, in my opinion. Because once you start going down that road and you go, this isn't fair. Why did it happen to me? I feel like everything crumbles around you.
And if you analyze that a bit deeper, this isn't fair. Why me? Why is this happening to me?
Yep.
It's actually coming from a place of pride. Because you think you are entitled to more than you are experiencing right now.
Well,
and who says that? No one guaranteed you anything in life.
Absolutely not.
So why are you upset that you're not getting some better treatment that no one promised you in the first place?
Well, because Facebook told me that so-and-so was on vacation in Fiji, and I should be allowed to go there too. I deserve it.
Yeah.
I think we've all got the proverbial angel and demon sitting on our shoulder, and it's just a matter of which one are we going to listen to.
Yeah.
And like I said, it's sad for the people that listen to the demon because they're going to be miserable. It's just true. The devil is always leading to misery, and I think if you look up instead of down, you're always going to be happier.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no doubt.
Dude, I don't think there's been a better spot to wrap this thing up on than right there.
I like it.
That's freaking great.
Well, this has been awesome, man.
Yeah. Thank you for joining me.
Yeah.
I hope you guys have enjoyed a different take, learning a little bit about boats. And the crossover, I mean, we're all salespersons, we're brokers, this is what we do, and the similarities are there, and it's been fun to talk about.
It's been awesome, man. Thanks for having me, and if anybody has any interest in coming down and looking at some boats, Mikelson Yachts, we got a YouTube.
We'll have all the links in the channels down below.
Awesome.